get physical? It's Jordan here, back again with this week's update on all the physical releases coming to the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, December the 15th until the 19th. Let's see what we've got this week. Nordic Ashes, the complete saga, is releasing this week in both Europe and North America, which is unusual for this publisher. Usually they are very European orientated. This is a Vampire Survivors clone pretty much, grindy survival in a monster hell kind of way. They're always fun and hard to put down as you unlock new abilities to make the chances go even more in your favor. This is the complete saga, so it includes all the DLC, at least I hope all of it, otherwise it would be a dumb name. It's also coming in a collector's edition, and my executive producers, Super Ben Julio, Viz, and Dave Hurstwaite, have chosen this as their pick of the week. Umurangi Generation is releasing this week in North America. It's not releasing in Europe as far as I can tell. This is a photography game. I actually played the digital release years and years ago by this point, and I've kind of given up hope of a physical, but it is happening. I don't remember a whole lot about the game aside from it reminding me of having, similar vibes to Jet Set Radio. Pretty cool though. However, it is only releasing in a deluxe edition. There's no bog standard release. If you want it physically, you'll have to get the deluxe kit, which contains an acrylic standee, character cards, a camera strap, and a cloth. Not sure why the box looks so massive for such small things, but my executive producer, Gus Bune, has chosen this as her pick of the week. And if you want it or any of the retail games in this video, please consider purchasing via the links in the description and pinned comment. That massively helps support me and this channel to keep producing useful physical content for you guys, and VGP are a nice company. They have free worldwide shipping on orders over 75 Canadian bucks, like 54 American dollars, not that much. Plus each week, if you buy something with my link, you are put into a draw to have a chance of winning a $10 discount coupon. And this week's winner is Nicholas W. Congratulations, Nicholas. You should get an email from VGP in the coming days. Yooka-Re-Playlee is releasing this week on Nintendo Switch 2. There is no Switch version, and this is a fantastic 3D platformer, as you'll know if you watch my review of it when it released digitally. It is a remake or a very enhanced remaster of the original game, making it to be what the game originally should have been. Good, like really good. If you like Banjo-Kazooie, you'll definitely get a big kick out of this one. I actually voted for this in my Game of the Year. That's how much fun I had with it. And hopefully the physical release on Nintendo Switch 2 does well, because it's a proper cartridge and the publisher is going out on a limb with the console, and such a good game should be, hopefully rewarded. And my executive producers, Punky Dooster, Firm Returns, Cartoon Soren, Ishin, Azrath, Alex M, Jennifer M, Kaba Clavacol, and Jimmy A. Guerrero have chosen this as their pick of the week. Earthion, a quick mention to this, which should be getting its European retail release this week. It keeps getting pushed back, but fingers crossed Europeans can get it this week. And Terrifier, the ARTcade game, a quick mention to this one as well, which should be releasing in North America this week. It is out in Europe already. Alright, the low print limited pre-orders. Puzzle Quest Immortal Edition is available to pre-order right now at Limited Run Games. This is a remaster of what many consider to be a DS classic. It's been ported to home consoles in the past before, but this is the latest remaster. And it is a mix of tile matching and RPG, which is fascinating. It sounds very casual, but the reviews have been fantastic over the years for this one, so don't let the Facebook image of the genre fool you into thinking it's a cheap game or anything. It's not. My executive producers, Dane Wilkinson and the Nemo 6, have chosen this as their pick of the week. The Fighting Force collection is available for pre-order right now at Limited Run Games. This is a fun-looking collection of 2 games that were on the PlayStation 1 and from the same developers as Tomb Raider, or at least the same publisher. And let's just say one of those series became a phenomenon, the other is remembered entirely via this release. Never played either of them before, but I'm not against the idea of them making a comeback. Any excuse to play a janky retro game, it's what I live and breathe for. Jaws Retro Edition. Okay, maybe I don't live and breathe for this kind of retro jank. I mean, it's NES Jaws. Back to haunt us because Limited Run think it is a bit of a laugh, just like they did with Bill and Ted, which if it's anything like Bill and Ted, they'll threaten to destroy all the cartridges left after a year. However, 2 things. 1, NES Jaws isn't all that bad. Boring? Maybe, but it's not a terrible game like most LJN releases. It has some merit, focus, and playability. And secondly, they're actually adding to it. While I'm sure you can play the original, there's also an enhanced and expanded version to try and make it into a good game. Will it work? Who knows, but at least it's better than, just wrapping the NES ROM in an emulator and calling it a day with a $35 price tag. But yeah, could be an interesting one if it's done right by Limited Run. And my executive producers, Instacritic and Joshua L, have chosen this as their pick of the week. R-Type Dimensions 3 is up for pre-order right now at ININ Games' website, as well as Strictly Limited because they could do with the cash. This is on Nintendo Switch and maybe Nintendo Switch 2, but even the publisher isn't quite sure if it's going to be a proper cartridge or a game key. More on that in a second. But this is a remake of the third game in the franchise, and you can switch between the new art style and the old one, which is a feature that will never not be awesome. Exclusive to these websites is a special edition as well as a very overpriced collector's edition which has a statue with it. If you want to pre-order that from ININ Games' website, you can use my code PARADISE and get 5% off. So actually with that $200 edition or whatever it is, you're saving quite a bit of dosh there. But maybe you want to avoid the Switch 2 version because here's why I think there's a weirdness behind the situation. I think it's because they want to have a standard retail release, but as a game key, whereas Nintendo currently don't allow two versions of a singular game. It's either a proper cartridge or a game key. You can't have both for one, which puts them in a weird, difficult situation. Like they want to have the proper cartridge on their website and they want to have a game key at retail, but Nintendo won't allow it. And I get why they won't allow it due to, marketing confusion. However, Nintendo blew that ages ago. Even publishers barely understand Nintendo's different cartridges. Never mind the public. I wouldn't mind the option for both. Like, do you want the cheaper game key or do you want the more expensive proper card? Let the public decide, Nintendo. And my executive producer, Nerdy Sean, has chosen this as his pick of the week. Which one? I don't know. Hyperdevotion Noire Goddess Blackheart is PlayAsia's latest exclusive release in partnership with East Asia Soft. I thought it was it for NEP, but no, they're back with a spin-off title that I'm assuming was also a victim of Nintendo's guidelines in the West to prevent a release over there. Edit, I just asked them, and yes, it was. Thankfully, Asia is to the rescue with an Asian English physical release, pre-orders for which will go live on Thursday. This is a tactical RPG spin-off of the series, and honestly, I know I said I'd personally given up on the franchise, but I do love my tactical RPGs from time to time, so I would be willing to give this one a go. I'm sure the story is going to be prime-time political intrigue with nuance and grey morality. Maybe. If you want to pre-order the standard edition or the limited edition and you want to support me at the same time, please do so with the links down below in the description and pinned comment on Thursday when the pre-orders go live. And of course, you can get 5% off with my code Jordan2025. Speaking of which, the import section. Yes, PlayAsia territory. Here are some games releasing in Japan and Asia this week. ACA NEOGEO Selections Volume 9 and 10 are both releasing this week, and for me, it's kind of bittersweet. I'm really happy to get two more awesome volumes, 20 games in total between the two packages, but I do think this is going to be the end. I'd love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong, but here you get a great mix of genres, a lot of fighting games, of course, but you get shmups, arcade sports titles, puzzle games, beat-em-ups, a bit of everything that the console had to offer. It even includes a game that wasn't even released digitally yet, which is cool. Makes it a physical exclusive release, rather bizarrely. I cannot wait to have a full collection, and of course they will have English, and my executive producers Vey, Mr. Awesome, Lewis K, OG CIB, and Big Bruno have chosen this as their pick of the week. Heart of Crown is releasing this week in Japan, and I don't really know a whole lot about it aside from it's a video game based off a real card game. And it's been in early access on PC for over a year at this point. At least I think this is a port of that game. It's not something that I would personally buy, but it is quite appealing visually. Like, it's not grim or dark, and the art style is quite nice, and it will play in English. And my executive producer, D's Nuts, has chosen this as his pick of the week. Kemco RPG Selection Volume 12. The good old reliable Kemco Selections. Volume 12 is releasing in Japan and Asia this weekend. This actually contains 5 games, don't faint guys. It's got Alphadia 1 and 2 in one app, Jinshin, Knights of Greyfang, and Glorious Savior. Once again, it's worth mentioning that these volumes have started getting physical releases in the West, but I'm doubting that they'll ever persevere for that long to get to Volume 12. And if they don't, this will be available in Japan and Asia and play in English. And my executive producer Josh Foote has chosen this as his pick of the week. A-Train, Hajimaru, Kankou, Keikaku, Nintendo Switch 2 Guidebook Pack is releasing this week on Nintendo Switch 2 as a Nintendo Switch 2 edition. So it's a proper cartridge and it will also work on your original Switch. This includes much better performance on the Switch 2 as well as mouse controls, which seems like a solid fit for this kind of simulation management game. There are already 2 games of this on the Switch, so this is really for those who, want the best version or don't have it already. But it will play in English, and my executive producer Kevin W. and Alolo Jojo have chosen this as their pick of the week. The Game of Life is releasing in Asia this week. This already released in Japan, but that one did not have English. However, this Asian version will have English, and I believe it's the first for the series, which, is popular in the region, despite being a Western franchise, I think. There's also a funky controller that you can get with the game too, if you want to add something really quirky to the experience. And my executive producer Brent McLean has chosen this as his pick of the week. Bounty Sisters is releasing in Japan this week. There is no English that has been confirmed, however, as a shmup it's probably not that necessary. And this looks really nice for a modern Japanese shmup. These days they often feel cheap, have plasticky 3D visuals, but this one is looking gorgeous, and I'm becoming quite fond of this developer. However, I am not fond of them never including English on their games. Like, get on it guys! Westerners want to play your games, they look really awesome. It's coming in a standard edition as well as a collector's edition, and my executive producer Dave Hallworth has chosen this as his pick of the week. Fallen Legion Revenants Legendary Edition is releasing in Hong Kong this week. Now this does have a Western physical release, it came out many years ago. However, if you don't own it, then this Hong Kong release could be the best option, since not only does it have English, but it also includes the DLC for the game on the card, at least that's what the listing says, so it's kind of a better version of the game. And my executive producer Adamantium has chosen this as his pick of the week. Japan is also getting these games. The first 2 we have in the West already, and the other 3 we do not have, at least not yet. I'm sure Olympia Soiree may come along, because for you Otome fiends out there. Alright, before we move on to the community spotlight, if you're new here, and if you found this video even remotely useful, then do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button, okay? It will be the best thing you do today. Plus, the bigger this channel is, the more publishers will pay attention to the demand for physical media. I promise you that it will. If we get to 100,000, of course they're going to be looking at physical media for their games. Alright, the community spotlight executive producer Cartoon Soren sent in this photo showing off the wealth of Atelier games available physically on the Switch, and pardon me for not doing a head count, but I'm pretty sure that is all of them. Red Rose Reaper sent in this photo showing off the 2 Dusk Diver games. I wonder if the developers are working on a third. Personally, I loved the first game, but I found the second one quite weak. Paul S sent in this photo with a wealth of retro titles, as he always does, but this time there's a Switch game in the Asterix Maxi Collection. Man, I do want that, but I do wonder if all the games are on the cartridge. I can't remember, I should research that. Executive producer Dead Bunny's YouTube sent in this photo showing off Forgive Me Father. The sequel is due soon, and this is a great boomer shooter from what I've seen. What was once rare should be easily available now, at least it was the last time I checked. Olaf's Domain sent in this photo with a couple of games that show off that Fangamer really are hitting the ball out of the park recently. They always tend to have good games, but these really are special. Executive producer Super Ben Julio sent in this photo, picking up 2 big releases from last week. I made a video on each, love both, although there is some sad news about Mortal Kombat. One of the games, MK4, needs to be downloaded. The cartridge had to be pressed before it was finished. Grigorz Brzezinski. Now, I know someone is taking the piss because I googled where that Polish name come from, but I wanted to give it a try, and in fact, I'm going to try it again. Grigorz Brzezinski. I'm not even going to talk about your photo. Executive producer Max Ty sent in this photo, getting all romancing with the International, finally landing in people's hands. Lovely looking steelbook there. Executive producer Kevin W sent in this photo, picking up The Wreck, which actually exists. I guess it was in the same shipment batch as Romancing Saga, a small print bundled alongside the bigger order from Nintendo. Probably saved Red Hot Games on shipping costs, I think that's why they did it. Executive producer Instacritic sent in this photo with the Freddy Fish collection. I admire that sort of thing, I just wish they released them at a budget price, which it should be. Devil Angel sent in this photo with Sushi Striker. I think will go down in history as Nintendo's cheapest ever physical, at least in recent memory. The only thing that might be close is, what, Animal Crossing Amiibo Bollocks, whatever it was on the Wii U. I can't even remember the name, but that was like £5 at one point. Also, thank you for picking up a sticker. Executive producer Lewis K sent in this photo, getting in Love a Kiss, the newer English release, which kind of feels like a miracle almost. I only sold like 10 copies via affiliate, so it's not like super popular, but I feel like it should be. Executive producer Firm Return sent in this photo, showing off Hades 2, which has been a very popular release. I guess it's going to be one of the best-selling third-party proper Switch 2 physicals, maybe? At least so far. Executive producer Jimmy Guerrero sent in this photo, again with Love a Kiss, and the Asian physical of Hot Shots Golf. I find it crazy they didn't release that in North America. What were they thinking? Executive producer Mr. Awesome sent in this photo, picking up the Shantae game, the old new one. I actually bought this one myself. I had a moment of weakness. Executive producer Adamantium, thank you so much for purchasing a mug. I should probably buy one myself. But he also picked up some great games. I'm surprised Front Mission 3 still has not had a Western announcement. You'd think they'd get on that early doors. Starvey sent in this photo picking up Dun Jungle. I knew my video of it wouldn't do any kind of numbers like whatsoever, but I really enjoyed what I played, so I thought I would share my thoughts with you anyways. It's a good game. If you like Dead Cells, you'll like Dun Jungle. Executive producer Dave Horworth sent in this photo picking up the Telenet RPG collection. I wish that had English. I know there is a chance that Limited Run will do an English version of it, but man, I don't want it to be $50. Executive producer Ghost Bune sent in this photo with a couple of big Nintendo Big Switch 2 big releases. Do you feel any momentum with the Switch 2? It's hard for me to personally gauge with my own little bubble here in China, and also I don't go online that much apart from making videos, so let me know. Do you feel the momentum? Alright, let's have a roundup. Burning Kitsune Mask. McLaren. Mr. Matt Hobb. Dabro 90. Twig E. Kresalak. Turbo Chef. Bub. Axaru. Alia A. Bill R. Robin H. Vasilios. Brian G. Andrew R. Cost 71. Superman 2K. If you want to send in your pictures, the details are on the screen right now. As always, special thanks to my executive producers for supporting me on Patreon. Dane Wilkinson, God of Resin, Brent McLean, Alexander Cato, JCrow7776, Bunkaduster, Cartoon Soren, Robotech, Thorn Metaluna, Vey, Instacritic, Precision Plague, Alex M, Josh Foot, Ishin, Lewis K, Kevin W, Jennifer M, Super Ben Julio, Double Dave, Husway and Horworth, Sora Cat, The Nemo 6, Ghost Bune, G Bautista 100, Rose, Adamantium, Azrath, Jake Vav, D's Nuts, Jeddah Crow, Brotorius, Surfacing for Air, Justin PDC, Cookie Kid, Radio to Rancid, Danielle O, Switch Effect, Cava Clavicol, Nerdy Sean, Ligma, Michael Del Polito, Big Bruno, Jimmy A. Guerrero, Max Ty, Viz, Dead Bunny's YouTube, Alolo Jojo, Joshua L. Firm Returns, Kevin M, OGCIB, and Mr. Awesome. Go check out some of my other videos. They're on the screen right now. And yeah, if you watched all the way through, please leave me a camera emoji in honor of the Umurangi Generation, the photography game. And have a fantastic day. Take care.